remember the way the salt air clung to my skin that first evening, heavy and thick like a promise of something unseen. My name is Elena, and I've spent the last 5 years bouncing between tech startups in Silicon Valley, fixing code that breaks hearts and bank accounts. It's a job that keeps you wired, always on alert for the next glitch, the next crash. Paranoia comes with the territory, double-checking firewalls, passwords, backups, not because I'm scared, but because I've seen what happens when you let your guard down. So when my old college roommates, Mia and Sophia, pitched a week-long escape to a rented beach house on the Oregon coast, I jumped at it. We were all in our late 20s, burnt out from adulting. Mia from her graphic design gigs, Sophia from nursing shifts that never ended. A secluded spot near Cannon Beach with crashing waves, foggy mornings, and no Wi-Fi signal strong enough to tempt us back to work. It sounded like bliss. The house was a weathered 2-story with cedar siding, perched on a dune overlooking the Pacific. Driftwood sculptures dotted the yard, and the deck had hammocks that swayed in the constant breeze. We arrived just as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in bruised purples and oranges. We unpacked with giggles, popping open a bottle of local Pinot Noir and grilling fresh salmon we'd picked up in town. That night, we built a bonfire on the beach, toasting marshmallows and sharing stories about bad dates and worse bosses. I made sure to secure the place before bed. The sliding glass doors to the deck had a sturdy latch, the front door a keypad entry. We'd set to a code only we knew, 0723. Our graduation year flipped. I tested it twice, hearing the satisfying click of the bolt. The next morning, I woke to the sound of seagulls screeching like alarms. My laptop bag, which I'd left zipped on the kitchen counter, was open, cables spilling out like entrails. I frowned, rummaging through. Nothing missing, but it felt violated. "Did one of you need a charger?" I asked over coffee. Mia shook her head, her curly hair still sleep-tousled. Sophia shrugged, sipping her mug. "Maybe you bumped it last night? We were pretty tipsy." I let it go, blaming the wine, but a knot formed in my stomach. That afternoon, while we hiked the nearby trails, Sophia realized her sunglasses were gone from the deck table. We searched everywhere, even combing the sand below. But they turned up later, perched on a rock by the tide pools, lenses fogged with salt spray. "Weird," she muttered. "I swear I didn't leave them there." We laughed it off as beach brain, but that evening I double-checked every window and door. The house had an old storm cellar entrance around back, half buried in sand with a padlock we'd ignored. I made sure it was secure, tugging the chain. We stayed in, playing board games by lantern light as fog rolled in thick as smoke. Around midnight, a soft thump echoed from downstairs, like something shifting on the deck. We froze, cards midair. "Probably a raccoon," Mia whispered, but her eyes were wide. I crept to the window, peering out. The fog obscured everything, but I swear I saw a shadow dart away, humanoid, fleeting. We bolted the doors tighter and tried to sleep, but the house creaked like it was alive. Dawn brought unease. The front door was ajar, not forced, just open a crack, as if someone had nudged it and forgotten to pull it shut. The keypad log. I checked the app on my phone. Showed no entries overnight. "This isn't funny," Sophia said, her voice trembling. We searched the house. Nothing taken, but the air felt heavier. Watched. Mia suggested it was the wind, but we all knew better. The vibe shifted. Our easy chatter turned strained. We emailed the rental owner, a local named Mr. Harlan, who replied quickly. "No one else has access. Cleaning crew was days ago. Stay safe." That didn't help. As the sun climbed, we tried to reclaim the day. Beach walks, shell collecting. But tension lingered. That night, no alcohol. We locked up early, drawing blinds against the darkening ocean. At 11:47 p.m., the keypad beeped. 3 quick tones, then a pause, then another. Someone entering digits. My heart hammered. I signaled the others to stay quiet, grabbing a fireplace poker. Through the peephole, nothing but fog and empty deck. The beeps repeated. Correct code. But the door didn't budge. Maybe a wrong final press. We huddled, phones ready, dialing emergency services on speaker. The dispatcher promised a patrol car, but it took 25 minutes on those winding coastal roads. The deputy, a grizzled woman named Officer Reyes, scanned the perimeter with her flashlight. No footprints in the sand, just wind-scattered debris. Could be kids pranking tourists, she said, but her tone suggested doubt. She advised changing the code and left. We didn't sleep. Morning came gray and drizzly. We packed silently, cutting the trip short. In the car, heading south. Mia finally broke. Who knew the code? How? I had no answer. Back home, I overhauled my security. New passwords, cameras, everything. But the fear stuck. Someone had been close, learning us, waiting. Was it the owner? A local? Or worse, someone we'd passed in town smiling innocently. That summer lingers like a bad dream, a reminder that even paradise has shadows. My brother Theo always said our family's old farmhouse in rural Vermont was perfect for stargazing parties. No light pollution, just endless sky and fireflies in July. I was 24 that year, fresh out of grad school for environmental science, crashing at home while job hunting. Theo, 2 years older, worked construction and loved hosting. Bonfires, acoustic guitars, craft beers from the local brewery. That Friday in August, he invited a mix. Co-workers, high school holdovers, a few from my old hiking group. About 20 people showed up as dusk fell, the air humming with crickets and laughter. The farmhouse sat on 10 acres, ringed by woods, with a big barn out back for storage. I helped set up, string lights twinkling like stars, a playlist of indie folk, burgers sizzling on the grill. Around 10 p.m., he appeared. Tall guy, mid-20s, sandy hair, wearing a flannel shirt and jeans that blended right in. No one remembered inviting him, but at gatherings like that, strays happen. He introduced himself as Nate, said he was a friend of a friend from the site Theo worked. Friendly, but quiet, nodded a lot, sipped his drink slowly, hovered on the edges of conversations. I caught him staring at the house once, like memorizing the layout, but brushed it off. As the night deepened, people migrated inside for snacks or bathroom breaks. I was in the kitchen refilling ice when I saw him at the hallway end, near the stairs to the bedrooms. Hey man, I called. Guest baths that way, upstairs is family only. He turned, eyes calm, and said, just looking for my jacket. Thought I left it up there. Odd, since coats were by the door, but he shrugged and wandered back out. Minutes later, Theo's girlfriend Lena came down looking rattled. Someone rifled through my purse in the guest room. Cards are there, but cash is gone, $80. Whispers spread. We asked around. No one suspicious, except I mentioned the new guy, Nate. But he was gone. Vanished into the night. The front door was unlocked, screen ajar. We called the sheriff's office. A deputy took notes but said without proof, little to do. The party fizzled. Next morning, our neighbor Mrs. Ellis knocked, coffee in hand. She's in her 70s. Lives alone next door with a security system after a break-in years back. Saw something odd on my cameras last night, she said. Footage showed a figure, tall, flannel, skulking around her shed at 2 a.m., slipping inside without forcing the lock. Tools missing, some jewelry from her late husband's box. Police linked it, but no leads. Nate wasn't local. No one knew him. What chilled me was rewatching our own porch cam. He arrived alone, but in the background he'd paused by the barn, staring like he knew its contents. Weeks later, I found a note tucked in the barn door. "Nice place, see you soon." Handwriting unknown. We installed better locks, but the unease stayed. Was he scouting? Stalking? That summer taught me strangers aren't always random. They're patient, waiting for the invite you never gave. Changed to a group of journalists on a retreat in the Rocky Mountains, finding a hidden camera instead of a phone. Add scenes of them exploring, building tension with noises, discoveries. Changed to a young man biking home in a small town in Texas, followed by a stranger who knows intimate details about his home. Add twists like finding a note later, or seeing the person on social media. Add more about investigating neighbors, paranoia growing. Then close with a narrator's sign-off. If these tales kept you up, like and subscribe for more chills. What would you do? Comment below, stay vigilant, and see you in the shadows. Emma had always been the planner in her group of friends. As a project manager for a bustling marketing firm in Chicago, she thrived on organization. Spreadsheets, deadlines, contingency plans. It was her way of keeping chaos at bay in a world that felt increasingly unpredictable. So when her best friends from university, Clara and Naomi, suggested a much-needed getaway to recharge after a grueling year, Emma took charge. They settled on a cozy lodge in the dense forests of northern Michigan, far from the city's hum. The place was called Whispering Pines, a rustic retreat with log walls, a stone fireplace, and trails leading into the wilderness. It promised solitude, fresh air, and no distractions, just what they needed to escape their high-stress lives. Clara, a freelance writer, was dealing with writer's block, and Naomi, an event coordinator, was recovering from a bad breakup. The lodge was booked for 4 days in late July, when the days were long and the nights alive with fireflies. They arrived on a Friday afternoon, the gravel road crunching under their tires as they pulled up to the isolated property. The air smelled of pine and earth, and the lake nearby shimmered under the sun. "This is perfect," Clara said, stretching as she stepped out of the car. They unpacked quickly, stocking the kitchen with groceries and wine, then spent the evening on the wraparound porch, watching the sunset paint the trees in gold. Emma made sure to note the security features. A simple key lock on the front door, deadbolts on the back, and windows that latch securely. "Old habits," she joked when Naomi teased her for checking them twice. That night, they cooked pasta, shared stories, and fell asleep to the sound of owls hooting in the distance. The first oddity came the next morning. Emma's journal, which she'd left closed on the coffee table, was open to a random page. Nothing sensitive, just notes on work ideas. She flipped through it. No pages torn, but it felt like someone had skimmed it. "Did you read this?" she asked the others over breakfast. Naomi shook her head, busy with eggs. Clara laughed. "Probably the wind from an open window. Or maybe you're sleepwalking now." Emma dismissed it, but a prickle of unease lingered. Later, while they hiked a nearby trail, Naomi noticed her necklace missing from the bathroom counter. They found it hours later, dangling from a branch outside the lodge as if placed there deliberately. "How did it get out here?" Naomi wondered aloud. Clara suggested a bird had snatched it, but the clasp was fastened, not broken. The day passed with swimming in the lake and lazy reading on the porch. But as dusk fell, the atmosphere shifted. They locked up early, drawing the curtains against the darkening woods. Around 10 p.m., a faint scratching sounded from the back door, like nails on wood. They froze, listening. "Animal?" Clara whispered. Emma approached cautiously, peering through the small window. The porch light revealed nothing but shadows dancing in the wind. The scratching stopped, but sleep came fitfully. Sunday morning, the back door was unlocked, not forced, just the deadbolt turned. Inside, a chair was pulled out from the kitchen table as if someone had sat there. "This isn't right," Naomi said, her voice shaky. They searched the lodge, nothing stolen, but the air felt invaded. Emma emailed the owner, a retired couple who lived in town. The reply was prompt. "No one has keys but us. No maintenance scheduled. Perhaps a faulty lock?" It didn't ease their minds. They spent the day exploring further afield, visiting a small waterfall, but returned to find a window in the living room cracked open. "We closed that," Clara insisted. That night, tension thick as the humid air, they barricaded the doors with furniture and kept lights on. At 1:12 a.m., footsteps creaked on the porch. Slow, deliberate. Emma's heart raced as she grabbed her phone, signaling the others to stay silent. Through a gap in the curtain, she glimpsed a silhouette, tall, hooded, pausing at the door. The handle jiggled softly, then stopped. They dialed 911, whispering details to the operator. The sheriff's deputy arrived 30 minutes later, his flashlight cutting through the night. No signs of intrusion, no footprints on the soft ground. "Could be hikers lost in the woods," he said, but his eyes scanned the trees warily. "Change your routines, stay alert." They didn't stay another night. Packing at dawn, they drove away in silence, the lodge shrinking in the rear view. Back in Chicago, Emma upgraded her home security, but the questions haunted her. Who had been watching? How did they know the layout? The fear of unseen eyes in familiar places never fully faded. Alex was 23 that sweltering summer, living in a shared apartment in Austin, Texas, while interning at a renewable energy startup. His roommate, Jordan, was the social butterfly, always organizing get-togethers in their spacious backyard, complete with a pool and fairy lights strung across the fence. It was a haven in the urban heat, surrounded by similar homes in a lively neighborhood. That Saturday in June, Jordan threw a pool party to celebrate the end of a big project. Friends from work, neighbors, a few college buddies. About 25 people showed up, splashing in the water, music thumping from speakers, the smell of barbecue wafting. Alex helped with setup, flipping burgers and mixing drinks. Around 9 p.m., as twilight deepened, a woman appeared by the poolside. Mid-20s with straight blonde hair, sunglasses perched on her head, and a sundress that screamed casual. No one knew her, but she smiled confidently, grabbing a drink like she was expected. "I'm Riley," she said to a group. "Friend of a friend." She mingled seamlessly, laughing at jokes, asking questions about jobs and hobbies. Alex noticed her poise, too composed, almost rehearsed. But parties attract all types. As the night wore on, people drifted in and out of the house for towels or restroom breaks. Alex was inside grabbing more ice when he saw her in the hallway near the bedrooms. "Hey, those are private," he said lightly. She turned, expression neutral. "Just looking for the bathroom. Got turned around." He pointed her the right way, but something felt off. Minutes later, Jordan came storming in. "My watch is gone from the nightstand. It was a gift. Valuable." The mood soured. Whispers of theft spread. Alex mentioned the newcomer, but Riley was nowhere. slipped away unnoticed. The door to the backyard was ajar. They called the police for a report, but with no evidence, it was filed and forgotten by most. The party ended early. Morning brought a knock from the neighbor, Mr. Patel, an elderly man with a home security setup. "Check this out," he said, showing phone footage. At 1 a.m., a blonde woman in a sundress approached his side door, glancing around before entering. Lock picked cleanly. Small items missing. A laptop, some cash. Police connected the dots, but Riley remained a ghost. No local matches. What unnerved Alex was a detail from the footage. She paused outside their window earlier, peering in like scouting. Days later, a postcard arrived, blank except for "Fun Night" scrawled. No postmark. They added deadbolts, but the paranoia lingered. Strangers could be anywhere, blending in, taking more than possessions. Brian taught high school history in Denver, so summers were his sanctuary. Time to breathe after months of grading papers and managing teens. That August, he and a group of colleagues rented a chalet in the Colorado Rockies for a weekend retreat. The group included Sarah, a math teacher, Liam, the PE coach, and Rachel, the guidance counselor, all craving disconnection from school drama. The chalet was stunning. Wooden beams, a hot tub on the deck, views of snow-capped peaks. No cell service for miles, which forced them to unplug. They arrived Friday, hiking short trails and cooking a big dinner. Laughter echoed as they played games by the fire. Saturday morning, Sarah mentioned seeing a flash in the trees at night. "Like a light," she said. They chalked it to wildlife, but when they returned from a day trip to a hot spring, a side window was unlatched. "Wind?" Liam suggested. Inside, things felt rearranged. Books shifted, a pillow out of place. That evening, around the hot tub, Brian sensed eyes on them. Movement in the pines, quick as a deer. They told campfire tales to lighten the mood, but sleep was restless. Sunday, Rachel found a small device in a bush near the deck. A compact camera, battery low but functional. Turning it on, their blood ran cold. Footage of them. Clips from inside the chalet, cooking, sleeping, private chats. Angles from vents, windows, even the bathroom mirror. They panicked, searching for more devices, finding none. The owner arrived with police. The camera was seized. No campsites nearby, no suspects. The last clip. Brian alone, staring out the window unknowingly at the lens. They left early, the intrusion etching deep fear. Privacy shattered by an invisible watcher. Sophie was 19, working at a community center in Portland, Oregon, teaching art to kids. Her walk home through the wooded paths of a park was routine. 15 minutes of peace after chaotic days. One evening in July, as the sun set, she noticed a guy behind her. Early 20s, hoodie, backpack, keeping pace. She quickened her step, crossing to another trail. He followed. At a bench, she pretended to text, letting him pass. He stopped nearby. "You okay?" she asked. He smiled oddly. "I know your routine, the blue mug you use for tea." Her stomach dropped. He knew details from her apartment window. She backed away. He turned and left calmly. "Home," she reported it. No leads. Later, a keychain in her mailbox, hers, lost weeks ago. On social media, his face appeared in suggestions. Background, her park. She changed routes, but the dread of being observed persisted. In a quiet suburb of Minneapolis, during a fierce July storm, power outage plunged Dana's home into darkness. From her patio, she saw a shape in the garden. Small, still, unmoving through lightning flashes. Her cat hissed, fur raised. No response to calls. Cameras later showed nothing. Neighbors denied seeing anything. The spot avoided by her pet. The memory haunted. What watches in the black? If these stories sent shivers down your spine, hit like, subscribe, and share your own tales. Stay watchful. Nightfalls bring secrets. See you next time.